Cassette-Clinics. The Ideal Case Presentations by Dr. Ghanashyam Vaidya. You are listening to the case presentations in medicine, respiratory system. A case of left apical fibrosis with cavity. A 35-year-old male Muslim patient, Muhammad, staying at Vijapur, shopkeeper by occupation, comes with complaints of cough with expectoration and low-grade fever since 4 months and hemoptysis since 10 days. The patient has cough since last 4 months, initially dry cough for 1 month, then with expectoration. No history of pain on coughing. Is there any seasonal variation in the cough? Sir, seasonal variation can be deduced only if the duration of the cough is more than 1 year. This patient has cough since last 4 months only, so I cannot comment on the seasonal variation. The expectoration is mucopurulent but not foul smelling, moderate in quantity, about 1/4 cup per day, and not related to posture. What does mucopurulent expectoration signify? Mucopurulent expectoration is seen in infective conditions like chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis, tuberculosis. It is also seen in secondary infections in malignancy, bronchial asthma, or an impacted foreign body. Where do you get large quantities of expectoration? In bronchiectasis and lung abscess. Proceed. There is history of hemoptysis in small quantities, fresh blood since last 10 days. In which conditions do you get hemoptysis? Pulmonary tuberculosis and malignancy are the commonest causes. It may also be seen in mitral stenosis, pulmonary infarction, bronchiectasis, following chest trauma, and in bleeding disorders. How do you differentiate hemoptysis from hematemesis? Sir, in hemoptysis, the blood is cuffed up. It is pink, frothy, mixed with sputum and has an alkaline reaction. While in hematemesis, the blood is vomited out, coffee ground colored and mixed with food, and it has acid reaction. Associated symptoms also give a clue. A history of cough, expectoration and fever suggests hemoptysis, while history of epigastric fullness, peptic ulcer pain, splenomegaly or alcoholism suggests hematemesis. Proceed. There is history of low-grade fever since 4 months, no history of chills and rigors. There is history of severe anorexia since 4 months. There is history of loss of weight. Patient has lost 10 kilos in last 4 months. There is history of grade 1 exertional dyspnea since 1 month. No history of wheezing. No history of paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. Regarding etiology, there is history of fever and productive cough suggesting an infective origin. There is no history of contact with a known case of tuberculosis. No history of wheezing, sneezing or allergic rhinitis. No history of palpitations, leg edema or paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. No history of dysphagia or hoarseness of voice. No history of exposure to venereal diseases. Why? To rule out HIV infection, as there is history of weight loss and history of chronic cough and fever. There is no history of diabetes, hypertension or any other major illness in the past. There is no family history of bronchial asthma or any allergic diseases. Which allergic diseases are familial? Asthma, allergic rhinitis, hay fever and eczema can be familial. Personal history: the patient is a chronic smoker, smokes more than 10 cigarettes per day, no addiction to alcohol, sleep, bowel and micturition habits are normal. Which respiratory diseases is a smoker prone to develop? Chronic bronchitis, emphysema and carcinoma of bronchus. Proceed. Occupational history: the patient is a shopkeeper, does not stay near any factory or cotton mill. Which occupations are known to cause lung diseases? Cotton fibers cause bicyanosis, sugarcane causes bagasosis, asbestos causes asbestosis and pleural malignancies, glass causes silicosis, and coal mine workers get pneumoconiosis. Now, what conclusions can you draw by analyzing your history findings? Firstly, this is primarily a respiratory disease with no cardiac symptoms. Secondly, this is a pathology of the lung parenchyma as there is cough, expectoration and hemoptysis. There is no wheezing, no pleural type of pain. Thirdly, this is an infective condition as it is associated with fever and is chronic in origin. Considering all these factors, this is a chronic lung infection, most probably tuberculosis. On general examination, the patient is averagely built, cachexic, nails show pallor, no cyanosis or clubbing, sclera shows no icterus, Conjunctiva and mucous membranes show pallor, no cyanosis. Which respiratory diseases cause clubbing? Suppurative lung diseases like bronchiectasis and lung abscess and pulmonary neoplasms. How do they cause clubbing? They stimulate opening up of arteriovenous shunts in the nail bed with soft tissue edema and fibroblast proliferation. As a result, there is a gradual increase in the soft tissues under the nail bed, causing excessive curvature of the nails and later enlargement of the distal phalanx. In which other conditions is clubbing seen? In cyanotic congenital heart diseases, infective endocarditis, gastrointestinal disorders like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease and biliary cirrhosis, rheumatoid arthritis and hereditary clubbing. Proceed. The pulse is 84 per minute, regular, good volume and normal character. Respiratory rate is 20 per minute, regular, thoraco-abdominal. Respiration pulse ratio is normal, that is 1:4. Blood pressure is 120 by 80 millimeters of mercury. The jugular venous pressure is not raised, no edema over the legs, no significant lymphadenopathy, no stigmata of tuberculosis, no signs of Horner's syndrome. What is Horner's syndrome? Ptosis, meiosis, enophthalmos and absent ciliospinal reflex in the eye with anhidrosis, that is absence of sweating on that side of the face. How do you get Horner's syndrome in lung disease? In Pankost's tumor due to involvement of the cervical sympathetic nerve. On examination of the upper respiratory tract, throat and tonsils are normal, no congestion. Nasal cavity is normal, no sinus tenderness, no movement of LNASI. What is the significance of LNASI? I am looking for the movements of accessory muscles of respiration, which indicates a ventilation perfusion mismatch and increased respiratory effort. Which are the accessory muscles of respiration? Sternomastoid, trapezius and other neck muscles, and LNASI. On inspection, the shape of the chest is normal, elliptical, and the subcostal angle is about 70 degrees. What is the normal ratio of transverse diameter to anteroposterior diameter of the chest? 7:5. In flat chest, the anteroposterior diameter is less, and in emphysematous or barrel-shaped chest, the anteroposterior diameter is increased. And what is pigeon chest? In pigeon chest, there is marked forward protrusion of the sternum, making the chest triangular. And if the sternum is depressed, then we call it funnel chest or pectus excavatum. Proceed. There is flattening of the chest wall over the left infraclavicular region. The spine shows no deformity. What does the flattening suggest? Localized flattening of the chest wall suggests lung fibrosis, lung collapse, long-standing pleurisy, or it may be due to muscle wasting. The respiratory rate is 20 per minute, regular, abdominothoracic. Inspiratory and expiratory phases are equal. Accessory muscles of respiration are not acting. When is inspiration or expiration prolonged? Sir, inspiration is prolonged in obstructive lesions of the upper air passages, particularly the larynx, and expiration is prolonged when the obstruction is in the distal air passages, as in bronchial asthma or emphysema. Proceed. There is diminished movement of the left upper chest. Significance? Sir, the less moving area is always the area of pathology, and since there is flattening of the chest wall here, it suggests fibrosis or collapse of the left upper lobe. The apex impulse is seen in the left fifth intercostal space in the mid-clavicular line. The lower end of the left sternomastoid is prominent, that is, the trail sign is positive on the left side. What is a trail sign? When trachea is shifted to one side, the sternal head of the sternomastoid of that side is unduly prominent. This is a positive trail sign, and it indicates a shift of the upper mediastinum to that side. The chest wall shows no scars, sinuses, shiny skin or dilated veins, no visible pulsations. Significance? Scars and sinuses suggest tuberculosis with cold abscess in the past. Dilated veins over the front of the chest are seen in superior mediastinal obstruction, usually due to mediastinal growths or lymph nodes. Pulsating vessels over the back are typical of coarctation of aorta, and pulsatile swelling near the sternum or over the back suggests an aneurysm of aorta. On palpation, the findings of inspection are confirmed. The chest movements are reduced in the left apical and infraclavicular regions. How will you test the apical movements if the patient is bedridden? I will keep my hands over the two clavicles and compare their upward movement during deep inspiration. In a bedridden patient, only the anterior chest movements can be palpated. The trachea is deviated to the left. The apex beat is in the normal position. How did you palpate for the tracheal deviation? I asked the patient to look straight in sitting position and pressed my index finger between the trachea and the medial border of the sternomastoid muscle on each side, just above the suprasternal notch. There is more resistance to the finger on the left side, indicating that the trachea is deviated to the left. In which conditions is the trachea deviated? It may be pulled towards the diseased side by lung collapse or fibrosis, or it may be pushed to the opposite side, that is healthy side, by a pleural effusion or pneumothorax. How did you palpate the apex beat? With the patient sitting on the stool, I stood on his right side and palpated the left precordium with the palm of my right hand to locate the apex impulse. Then with the tip of the index finger, I located the exact site of the apex beat, which is the lowermost and outermost point of the cardiac impulse, imparting a perpendicular thrust to the palpating finger. Proceed. The tactile vocal fremitus is increased over the left infraclavicular region. There is no other palpable vibration, no intercostal tenderness. In which conditions is tactile vocal fremitus increased? Consolidation, as in lobar pneumonia, infarction, growth, and over a superficial cavity. Which other vibrations can be palpated? Coarse rales of bronchiectasis, friction rub in dry pleurisy, and rhonchi in severe bronchospasm. On percussion, the superficial cardiac dullness is normal, that is in the left midclavicular line in the 5th intercostal space. Liver dullness is in the 5th, 7th and 9th spaces in the midclavicular, mid-axillary and scapular lines. How did you percuss these dullnesses? For cardiac dullness, I percussed with the pleximeter finger parallel to the sternal border from the axilla medially in the 3rd, 4th and 5th intercostal spaces. For liver dullness, I percussed with the pleximeter finger horizontal from above downwards in the midclavicular line, then in mid-axillary line and in scapular line. When is the cardiac dullness obliterated? In emphysema, large left pneumothorax, and when the mediastinum is pulled to the right. And when is the liver dullness obliterated? The liver dullness is obliterated when there is free gas in the peritoneal cavity. You may get a false impression that liver dullness is obliterated when the liver is pushed down in emphysema and right pneumothorax. Also, the liver dullness may be raised above the 5th space in midclavicular line in liver abscess, subdiaphragmatic abscess and diaphragm paralysis. Proceed. Coming to lung percussion, chronic isthmus is absent on the left side. What is chronic isthmus? It is a band of resonance above the clavicle about 5 to 7 centimeters wide between the neck muscles medially and shoulder laterally. It corresponds to the apex of the lung, and its decrease or absence strongly suggests apical tuberculosis. Increase in its width is seen in emphysema and pneumothorax. Proceed. The chronic isthmus is absent on the left side. There is an impaired percussion note over the left clavicle, infraclavicular and axillary areas. There is normal resonant note over the rest of the lung area. There is no percussion myokymia. What does an impaired percussion note suggest? Fibrosis, collapse, consolidation or infiltration of the underlying lung. What is percussion myokymia? In a cachexic patient, a percussion stroke in the parasternal area evokes transient twitching of the pectoral muscles, more marked on the side of diseased lung. This twitching of pectoral muscles is termed as percussion myokymia. On auscultation, cavernous type of bronchial breath sounds are heard over the left infraclavicular region in the midclavicular line. There are diminished breath sounds with few fine inspiratory rales over the remaining infraclavicular and axillary areas. Over the rest of the lung, the breath sounds are normal, no rales, rhonchi or rub. How do you describe cavernous breath sounds? They are low-pitched bronchial breath sounds heard over a cavity. The expiration is longer and louder than inspiration, and there is a pause between the inspiration and expiration. How do they differ from amphoric type of bronchial breath sounds? Amphoric breath sounds are also low-pitched, but they have an echo-like, high-pitched overtone as you would get on blowing into a large empty vessel. They are heard in open pneumothorax and large open smooth-walled cavities. What do the fine inspiratory rales suggest? Presence of exudate in the alveoli due to infiltration or consolidation or pulmonary edema in left ventricular failure. Thick secretions in the bronchi produce coarse rales as in bronchiectasis, and thin secretions in smaller bronchioles produce medium rales as in chronic bronchitis. Fine inspiratory rales are due to exudate in the alveoli. And what do rhonchi suggest? Rhonchi suggest a partial obstruction to the airways due to bronchospasm or bronchial mucosal edema. They are high-pitched, continuous musical sounds heard during expiration or both inspiration and expiration. Proceed. The vocal resonance is increased in the area of bronchial breathing with bronchophony. Whispering pectoriloquy is heard. What is whispering pectoriloquy? If the whispered voice is transmitted to the chest wall and can be auscultated with sufficient clarity that individual words are clearly distinguishable, it is termed as whispering pectoriloquy. It is heard over a large cavity communicating with a bronchus and over large consolidations. How did you detect it? When I detected that vocal resonance was increased with bronchophony, I asked the patient to whisper 111 and auscultated over the same area. I could hear the words clearly as if whispered directly into the ear, so I inferred that whispering pectoriloquy is present. Now what is your diagnosis? Chronic infective condition of the lung parenchyma with left upper zone fibrosis and cavity, most probably due to tuberculosis. Right. The diagnosis should mention whether it is an acute or chronic, an infective or non-infective condition, and what is it affecting, pleura, lung parenchyma or the bronchi. Then mention the anatomical area and the site affected with pathology like consolidation, cavity, fibrosis, pneumothorax or effusion. And lastly, mention the most probable cause. Now, why do you think it is tuberculous? Sir, there is history of prolonged fever and cough with hemoptysis. There is history of weight loss and anorexia. Clinical findings suggest fibrosis and cavity in the left apical region, which is characteristic of a tuberculous infection. Why not consolidation? Because on inspection, the area of pathology shows flattening of the chest wall and positive trail sign, which are features of collapse or fibrosis, not consolidation. And on auscultation, tubular breath sounds are not heard. There are cavernous breath sounds suggesting a cavity. Good. This is the end of the discussion on the case of left apical fibrosis with cavity in the series of case presentations in medicine titled Cassette-Clinics by Dr. Ghanashyam Vaidya.